If just be more disciplined actually worked, you wouldn't be here watching this video. You've already tried the planners, the alarms, the habits, the schedules, the hustle. And you've told yourself, this time I'll push through. And maybe you did for a while, until the crash. If you've ever felt broken because you can't just make yourself do the thing, if you've internalized the belief that everyone else must have this magical superpower that you must be missing, I want you to know something. Discipline culture wasn't made for people with executive dysfunction. And if you don't know what that means, it's the severance between the abilities to plan something and then act on it. Because executive dysfunction comes from something outside of our control. It stems from neurodivergence like ADD or ADHD, or from trauma or narcissistic abuse, or depression or bipolar disorder. That's like telling someone who's depressed to just think happy thoughts. Because when you're in a depression spiral, all you want to do is make yourself feel worse because you think you deserve it. And it's like that for executive dysfunction, and I would know both. So let's unpack why this self-discipline narrative can be so harmful and what to actually try instead. The world tells us discipline is the secret to success. But what they don't say is that this kind of advice assumes a regulated baseline, a body that's not already overwhelmed, a brain that can easily shift between tasks, a person who hasn't learned to associate shame with failure. It also assumes that your choice to not be productive is totally your own, and that's why a lack of discipline is associated with laziness. For people like us, whether you're navigating executive dysfunction rooted in perfectionism or procrastination or a fear of failure, or even a trauma response, what looks like a discipline problem is often a nervous system problem or a self-trust problem. And here's what that means. You might want to do something deeply, but your body perceives the task as unsafe, overwhelming, and doomed to fail. So you freeze or scroll or clean everything except the thing you meant to do. And then you judge yourself for it and feel awful, which only reinforces the shutdown loop. This isn't laziness, it's protection. Your nervous system has learned to conserve energy by avoiding unsafe situations, even if they're perceived to be unsafe or dangerous. Whether that's rejection, criticism, or just the crushing weight of never being enough. The discipline narrative says, just try harder, get up earlier, do it no matter what. Facts don't care about your feelings. But here's the catch. For many of us, pressure doesn't create clarity, it creates collapse. The more we push, the more resistance we feel, the more friction we create, because we're wired to avoid pain. And if our internal environment is filled with shame or fear or exhaustion, discipline becomes another demand we feel like we're failing at. So what actually helps? Not more pressure. No, what helps is permission, compassion, curiosity, and a kind of structure that adapts to your needs, not one that punishes you for having them. If this is landing for you and you're starting to see all of this with fresh eyes, I'd love to give you something to support that next step for free. I created a free resource called the Self-Trust Guide. It walks you through how to begin breaking out of this shell and begin building a relationship with your time and tasks that actually feel good. You can grab it at the link below or just comment guide and I'll comment it back to you. It's completely free and made specifically for people who have been told to just try harder one too many times. So if discipline isn't the answer, what is? It's self-leadership, which looks very different than self-control. It starts with understanding what your patterns are, what triggers the shutdown, which habits are rooted in survival, not laziness, and then building a structure from a place of support, not force. And here's what that can look like. Instead of rigid morning routines, create anchors that help you feel safe starting. Instead of time blocking every 30 minutes to an hour, work in rhythms that match your energy and prioritize the entry to the time blocking, not the whole big picture. Instead of harsh accountability, use compassionate check-ins to help you recalibrate without shame. But this isn't about giving up on goals or accepting a lower standard. It's about getting there without abandoning yourself. I know that this isn't the advice that gets glamorized online. No one goes viral for saying, what if your resistance is valid? What if you're not broken? What if you're not the problem? But that's the truth, and it's the foundation of the work that I do. It's the foundation of how I healed myself. Because once you start to treat your situation with empathy, once you learn to support your nervous system instead of bypassing it because you should be able to, that's when things start to shift. You don't need to become a different person to be able to follow through. You need tools that work with how you're wired. If you're ready to stop white-knuckling your way through this change and start building real momentum with real work that reflects who you are on the inside, then I'd love to invite you to book a free discovery call with me. It's not some kind of trap, it's just a conversation. The kind of conversation I wish someone could have with me when I was at rock bottom. We'll talk about what's getting in your way, what kind of support could help, and whether my program might be a good fit. You deserve a strategy that feels possible and a space where you're not shamed for struggling. The link's in the description and I'd love to talk with you. And as always, stay in this corner of the internet as long as you need.